door. Wait here. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامة من شر ما خلق. أعوذ بكلمات.
British YouTuber Joe Weller learns from his friend Elliot about a haunted schoolhouse, abandoned since the 1800s. They agree to explore it in the middle of the night to heighten the scare factor. As they approach, Joe notices a gap in the curtains, as if someone is peeking through, or perhaps something more sinister. The sight of barbed wire makes him hesitate, but Elliot convinces him to keep going. They jump the fence and walk around back, ivy creeping along the crumbling walls, confirming the place has been deserted for years. Suddenly, in one of the windows, a pale, ghostly girl appears. Joe quickly shines his flashlight at her, but just as soon as they see her, she vanishes into the darkness. An unsettling chill fills the air, and they exchange worried glances, feeling the weight of the unknown as they step closer to the window, hearts racing. In an episode of Herbecks, Taffy explores an underground bunker, feeling an eerie sensation of being watched. They pause at the entrance to a dark room, night vision rolling, and call out to any spirits haunting the tunnels.
Okay, alright, so, is there anyone in here with us? Would you make a sound? Just make a noise?
In the doorway, a shadowy figure appears, distinct from Taffy and his friend Carl, whose shadows are clearly visible. It's strange that a third shadow manifests just as they ask for a sign. While it could easily be faked with the help of another person, the real question remains, were only Taffy and Carl in that creepy, haunted tunnel? Only they will know the truth for certain. Having braved numerous supernatural encounters in the past, Taffy expects that exploring this haunted building will be no different. He ascends to the top without issue, but getting out of the eerie structure proves to be far more challenging.
فهمتش هذه كيفاش وصلت لهنايا؟ أعوذ بكلمات الله التامة. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامة من شر ما خلق. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامة من شر ما خلق.
At 7 minutes and 40 seconds, a shadowy figure catches his attention, but he soon loses sight of it only for it to return moments later.
محمد. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامة. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامة من شر ما خلق. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامة من شر ما خلق. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامة من شر ما خلق.
If you're wondering why the scream sounds so close, it's possible the shadow person was actually standing right next to him. At 11 minutes and 52 seconds, he hears a chilling whisper in his ear. Undeterred, the Herbeck's explorer follows the shadow deeper into the haunted space.
هاد المونيكا عاوتاني هنايا وتتحرك، أقسم بالله تتحرك. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامة من شر ما خلق. 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 راه يا الإخوان، أعوذ بكلمات الله التامة من شر ما خلق.
Creepy dolls move on their own, and terrifying voices scream from the darkness. The shadowy figure seems to be leading him towards something sinister.
أعوذ بكلمات الله التامة من شر ما خلق. شوفوا الخوت، شنو هادشي هذا؟ أعوذ بكلمات الله التامة من شر ما خلق. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامة من شر ما خلق. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد.
Everyone has their breaking point when it comes to paranormal activity, and it seems Taffy has reached his. Alone and outnumbered, he flees from the spirits, terrified they might drag him into their silent ranks. Interestingly, the scream sounds like an audio sample, repeating every time, which raises the question, could this bizarre video be staged after all? Welcome to the inner workings of a broken-down mental hospital, recorded live on Facebook by Hammy TV. This creepy video takes you on a tour through the extreme ward of Medfield State Hospital. Developed at the turn of the 20th century, this 58-building complex once housed a maximum of 2,200 patients and served as a filming location for movies such as Shutter Island and The Box. According to Wikipedia, trespassing between dark and sunrise is strictly forbidden, so these boys aren't exactly following the law. One especially eerie fact about this asylum is that it has 841 grave sites, all of which are numbered instead of named. In fact, local Boy Scouts made it their Eagle Scout service project to identify the names and dates of those buried there. If that wasn't creepy enough, watch what happens during this tour of terror. The crew heads to the 3rd floor, where there were reportedly a few deaths. As they try to figure out how to navigate the very broken stairs, the camera pans to the upper floor. Keep your eye on the hallway. A shadowy figure clearly crosses the threshold, yet the crew seems oblivious, with no reaction to it whatsoever. I'm sure they were startled when they watched the video playback. Although it's unclear whether anyone noticed until it was pointed out in the Facebook comments, this paranormal sighting is undeniably terrifying once you see it. When you're arguing about whether a shirt is red or maroon, the ghosts around you will know they've had enough. Published on YouTube in May 2020, this video captures what happens when a ghost gets fed up with the bickering, throws up its hands, and storms out of the house it's haunting. The uploader explains that during their last visit to this location, they experienced a door slamming but didn't have a chance to record it. This time, they returned to capture it on film. The video is condensed to 3 minutes out of the 50 that were recorded. It shows the boys arguing over the color of one of their shirts before deciding to call it quits after nearly an hour of filming. Just then, something clearly slams in the distance. The uploader mentions that his friend thought it was the door hinges rather than a ghost, but decides that the video serves as proof that it wasn't the hinges. He also claims that he and another friend saw a shadow person in the building. The uploader adds that someone suggested it could have been air from the last upload, but that doesn't make sense. If it were air, the door would have opened outward due to the pressure from outside. Instead, they witnessed a ghost slamming the door in the opposite direction of the airflow. This was filmed in Harlingen, Texas, where the uploader notes there wasn't much airflow in the building. In fact, the group was sweating from the stale heat. Perhaps the ghost was feeling the heat, too. Someone's life was taken here, and a shadow person remains. Was it the spirit of the one who passed or the one who ended their life? Published in December 2021, Joanna and Mike's paranormal adventures entered this house, only to find more than they bargained for. While exploring, they hear a spirit whispering, "Help me." As they continue to communicate with the spirits in the darkness, Joanna suddenly feels a touch on her shoulder.
Do you know any of our names?
Did you just touch me on my shoulder?
Someone said me.
Later, in another room, Joanna and Mike are conversing with someone off camera when the camera scans from one side of the room to the other. That's when the chilling moment occurs.
On the throat.
Maybe.
And then after you work.
Where they're awful soon the light filters.
Yeah.
In the next room, a shadowy figure appears, seemingly ducking behind the door before disappearing in an instant. Is there a lost soul haunting this home? And if so, whose spirit is it? After witnessing this, I certainly wouldn't return, but I believe this place deserves further investigation. The David Livingstone Centre is a reportedly haunted museum in Glasgow, Scotland, and these paranormal investigators are about to find out just how eerie it can be. Before they even finish setting up their equipment, poltergeist activity begins. First, something falls in the darkness, and then a piece of equipment flips over right in front of them. Oh! They rush to the spot where the object fell and discover that one of the velvet ropes has unhooked itself. Since we didn't see this happen on camera, we'll just have to take their word for it. Later, they move to the chapel area, where they think they see something move, but it's too dark to confirm.
As if it's a person? Yeah. Is it behind you?
However, when they take a picture of the corner of the chapel, they uncover an unsettling image of a shadow person. A paranormal investigator named Exist aims to determine whether ghosts inhabit an abandoned funeral parlor in South Korea. In the stairwell, they capture the strongest evidence of paranormal activity.
에어컨?
According to their readings, something lurks at the bottom of the steps. The equipment detects activity in the corner, revealing the figure of a ghost in a white dress with her back turned and long black hair. Rather than confronting her, they decide to crank a hand-operated music box at the top of the stairs to see if she will come to them.
방은 이놈의 보세요. 저거 진짜 되겠지. 왜 그랬는데?
It's unclear whether the ghost is genuinely interacting with them or if they're manipulating the equipment. If anyone has more information about the paranormal tools they're using, please share. I'd love to know if this part is real or if they have a hidden method to control it. An overwhelming energy surrounds them, causing the music box to play continuously, and they must manually turn it off, feeling satisfied with their experiment. Next, Exist uses a Snapchat filter to see if any faces appear as they come up the stairs. But instead, they capture something even more chilling. A figure walks right by them, opens the door, and holds it ajar. Respecting the spirit's wishes, they politely decide to leave. The Borgvattnet house, built in 1876 in Sweden, is said to be one of the most haunted places in the world. Scratching, knocking, and screaming comes from the walls, not to mention shadow figures and objects moved by a ghost. The first reports of paranormal activity were in 1927, and they've continued ever since. Dima Maslin-Nikoff wants to document any and all paranormal activity on camera. It does not take long. The house is still when he hears a weird noise. It sounds like an EVP of a distant scream. He gets up and looks in the room. Two knocks, both coming from this door. He sets up a toy for a ghost to play with that also has a motion sensor.
Честно говоря, вот про эту комнату я толком ничего не знаю. И про нее было.
Not only does the motion detector fall off, it continues to stay on for a full 3 seconds. When he turns around, something was in the room with him, a paranormal entity. There wasn't anyone in the room. The bear falls over on its own. Next, he finds an infamous old rocking chair that's said to be the center of a lot of paranormal activity. He takes a flash Polaroid and notices a large dark shadow hanging over it, a shadow that does not look like it was cast by the chair because it's in front. He tries to recreate the lighting conditions, and is unable to make the same shadow up here. No matter how many pictures he takes, it never comes close to being like this one. This does seem to indicate that it's a shadow figure caught on camera. In the first photo, the investigator summons his courage and goes exploring the second floor of the Borgvattnet house. As he's watching the ceiling light moving by itself, a ghost pushes him. Watch for the camera blur as it walks by. That's when he notices a heavy piece of furniture has been pushed in front of a door. Someone was trying to keep something from getting out of its room. He moves the barricade and looks inside. It's an empty space with a small table for someone small to eat at by themselves. The space is empty. Whatever they were trying to keep inside has already left. So the legend spoke of shadow people screaming and knocking from the walls and objects moving by themselves. It's hard to believe it, but he really does seem to have encountered all of the creepy stuff in one visit, and it all somehow seems real. At 3 a.m, Daniel Christensen's dog begins to growl as the bedroom door swings open. Daniel stares into the dark hallway, recording with his camera and waiting for something to happen.
What a trip.
In this chilling moment, you can see what could be the head, shoulders, and left arm of a shadow person towards the corner of the room on the right-hand side. Let me know if you see it. Then the shadow appears again, much closer this time. However, it's still too dark, so I can't tell for sure if it's a shadow or just his thumb.